So here we are. Sit. We're in front of a place where there's a lot of kids. And why don't you pan to your right, come this way a little bit, pan to your right and show this little school here. It's a Taekwondo school. It's a small child class. But also, hey, look at this. In the meantime, good, he's in a sit-stay. And it's a very busy place where a lot of people walk past. Good, and if you notice, when somebody walks past me, he may notice them, but then he turns back to me, and I never miss an opportunity. So there's a little child right there. So if you can see that, you should continue to pan to your right slowly to show what's going on there. So we're going to be practicing here while people pass by. Good, and practicing his sit stay and his down stay. So you can see a little child right there. He turns back. Good, he gets paid. And we're also going to practice, okay, we're going to practice a down stay here. Down. So we'll practice a down stay as people walk past and kids come in and out. Good. So I think they're going to start leaving.
Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday?
Make sure you catch all this here. Good. And the reason I'm practicing here is because you have children run around like this. The reason that we're here today is this was the busiest place I could find in Burbank, where there are little kids everywhere and there's a lot of commotion. So we started practicing here every day. Good. And as you can see, if people walk past and he stays down, good, he gets rewards. And this is what you would call a downstay, a pretty good downstay in the presence of distractions. And since I don't have little kids in my house, we're practicing here with multiple little kids here so that he can get used to that kind of stress, because that can be very stressful for some dogs to be around small children in a household or anywhere, and it makes them nervous, overstimulated, and when they're that way they can misbehave. So this is helping a lot. Good. With his ability to build an immunity to being stressed out. Basically, that's what we're doing by practicing here, is working on his ability to handle this kind of stress for longer and longer periods of time. And here comes a couple of really little kids with special belts on. See how he's looking at me and ignoring them. If he looks at them, good, that's perfect. So that's so important to do. You have to watch him when he notices the distraction. Good. And he turns towards it, and then he turns back and looks at you. You need to pay that, because it's an involuntary, good. It's an involuntary reaction to notice something, but to turn back and look at you when you're doing this is a learned behavior, and he's learning that every time he turns away from a distraction, he's going to get paid. Good. We are desensitizing him to these distractions. And I usually just practice here for a couple of minutes, and every day we've sort of worked up to longer and longer. Good. You always want to end while he's doing well. You never want to push him to the point where he starts making mistakes. And over time, you can handle it for longer and longer periods of time if you practice this way. Okay, sit, and go. He's free. And you can practice this way anywhere, of course, with all kinds of different distractions, which you'll see more, of course, on this video. But there's a little dog right there. And let's see how that works out. Because sometimes he'll be interested in dogs on a leash. So he sees a little dog. You see, he sees a dog. Come! You need to use the training to get him out of those situations, because he came to you with these little issues, and we don't know how bad it would be. That little dog's right there. Come! And I'm going to call him out of the way of the people walking past. And this is him being this easy to handle in such a busy environment is a product. Come! Or anything on the ground that he wants to get into. There's something gross there on the ground, chewing gum or something. This is a product of me practicing a lot in these situations. I've called him, come. I've called him away from a bunch of things on the ground. I called him away from a bunch of dogs on leashes out on the street. Practice sit stays and down stays in a lot of public places so that he's becoming very focused. And this, once he comes back to you, this has to be continued. If you don't continue this, all this good stuff will fade away. So all of this should be continued as much as possible. Okay. We're going to walk up to the person that we're greeting. We're going to have him sit, step away from him, hand the person a treat. There's some more treats. Come back. He needs to wait to be released to be sent over to say hello. So with my right hand, I'm going to tap his chest and say, go say hi. He's going to go over there, take the treat, get petted. I'm going to say, come. Good. See, everything happens down on ground level. There's no reason for him to jump. Sit. I called him to me. I stepped into him, had him sit again, and we'll just repeat. He waits till I come back next to him, pat his chest and say, go say hi. Gets a treat, gets petted, come. Good, he's practicing greeting people. Sit with no jumping, which jumping was a little thing with him. He would jump a lot. So we practice this every day with different people. Once he calms down, you can even add in a little sit stay. Make it a little bit harder for him before you send him over to get his pet and his treat. Go say hi. Come. You notice how calmly we're doing this. There's no funny noises. Sit. I'm not shushing or snapping my fingers or anything like that. It's very easy, effortless. He knows how to do it. So if you do my moves, you'll get what I have here. So just try to keep that leash loose. If he pops up, you say no. It's just a little bit of tension like that, and he'll go right back. There's very little for you to do. If he keeps popping up, okay, let's pretend he popped up a few times. You just do a little reset like this and put him back. And go, send him over again. One last time. Treat, petting, come. Let him get that little treat. He's going to come back to me. Good. Great way to practice your recall. Sit. We'll sit, stay here. Your command is sending him over and calling him back. That's a whole thing that we do in a lot of situations in the training, as you'll see in the video. So that's your greeting routine. We're going to do another greeting routine out in public. Sit with somebody that he really doesn't know very well at all. And we're doing it in another spot that we haven't done it in before, just to show you how he does it just off the cuff with somebody that he's really never met before. So I stepped over, gave her the treat. He waited till I came back with my right hand. Go say hi. Gets a treat. She gets to pet him if she wants. Come. I call him back to me. Good. Step into him, have him sit. He used to, sometimes he would jump on people at first, but now he knows that if he jumps, they're not going to give him his treat, or I'm going to call him back to come. That's what I would do, because you're going to send him to people that don't know about the training, so you have to keep him under control. So if he is out of control with somebody and seems like he might even start to jump, you need to call him back to come to you. Go. But he's met so many people this way, so many times, and you can pet him with your other hand. Good. Do you have a treat in that other hand? Go ahead and pet him. Pet him. Here. Is your hand hurt, injured?
No.
Go ahead and pet him. There you go. Which he didn't want to get petted, but that's okay. Good. So we have no jumping. Sit. And the reason is, whenever he comes up to us, we're always down there to pet him. Give him a treat, pet him. Or if we don't have a treat, to pet him. And if he does jump, go. If he does jump, you can pet him again. It's no. Don't correct him, but show him that he was going to get the hands and he was going to get all the petting and maybe a treat. And he jumped and he blew it all and the hands went away. So instead of correcting him, make sure that if he starts to jump like he used to jump, that you just do this and step away from him. And then when he stops jumping, you're down there when he comes to you to give him all the attention he wants, as long as he stays on all fours. Sit. We always have him sit before we open the door, because opening the door tends to make the dog pop up. So we're trying to make this as hard as possible so that he can just have much better training. And so we're going to have him sit before we open the door. Okay, we're going to make sure that he does a real sit stay. Sit. I'm going to have him sit a little bit closer to the threshold so you can really see him. He waits, you step through to accentuate the fact that this is your boundary, not his. He never rushes through. He never crosses through without you. That's the message we're sending him. The leash is always loose. When we finally say okay to walk through, make sure you reinforce that slow walking through, not pulling. And the most you'll have to do is maybe tap him like that. And I'm walking very slowly in this video. I'm exaggerating how slow you want to walk so you can see what he's capable of now. Sit, and he pulled just a little bit because he's used to walking through at a regular pace. On the outside, we have him sit, and we're going to take him for a walk out on the street. So we have a gate and we have a curb to go across as well before we have free time. And we always do this before each walk, because by the time you start the walk, he's in the zone and much calmer and easier to walk. Now we're here at the gate. Okay, gonna have him sit and wait. Sit. He's got to wait. I step through first. Always step through first. It's extra hard for him. He was triggered by this gate being blown by the wind into him. So I'm going to hold it like this. Step out. He waits. I step back. Make sure you always make him wait. If he tries to leave before you allow him to, just tap him a little bit and he'll go back. And then, okay. Have him walk through with you, slowly without pulling. You might have to do a little left circle into him to close the gate or the doorway. And then he's still on the clock, so don't let him rush off yet. We're going to go over here to the curb. We're going to do a little sit stay at the curb, because this is a really important boundary, obviously. The curb. Sit. So if we do this every time we walk him, he'll start to really perceive this curb as a place that he doesn't cross without you as well, which could save his life someday. You do this enough, and the chances are he just won't run out there. If he does pop up, you say no. Just gently but firmly put him back. There's a lot of stuff going on out here on the street, and you may have to reset him sometimes. And I'm just doing a basic sit stay where he accepts me walking around both ways. And then we're going to cross the street. Okay. And I'm walking very slowly. We'll go this way. And the leash is loose, but if he speeds up, I'll just tap him a little bit. You need to do this a lot with him because he's such a puller when he got here, and he's so fast and he rushes everywhere. So he really needs to be handled this way for quite a while. So you need to do it exactly as I'm doing it now. Sit. When you're crossing streets or when you're walking him on a leash, you want to walk slowly, you want to keep the leash loose, tapping like that if you're going super slow like I was. And then when you're going to start the walk, you have him sit and then go, release him to be free, and you start the walk like this. And if you've been doing the boundary training, which if I hadn't been making the videos and talking to you, I could have done all the boundaries. Let this car go past. I could have done all of those boundaries in probably less than 2 minutes. Front door, gate, curb, been over here and release them to be free and start our walk. So you want to do that whenever you take them for a walk. Don't let him pull you out through the front door and down the sidewalk, and because that way you've already lost control of him. But if you start the walk like this, let's say a dog shows up or somebody shows up, come! He's ready to go. Call him away from that distraction. Get him out of there. he's all primed up to do the rest of the training. Much calmer, much easier to handle out here. Show the dog. Come. So if he sees a dog, and this dog just came up upon us like this, come. He wants to go over there, probably wants to go over and say hi. I'm not going to let him go over because it doesn't matter. Come. Even if he's super friendly, a lot of people don't want your dog running up to their dog, and maybe that dog's not good with other dogs. So every time we see a dog, you can see that, right? So every time we see a dog out on the street, come. I call him away from that dog just to make sure that he really has that, so that just in case that he ever had a problem with other dogs in the past, he hasn't had anything here with dogs, but we want to make sure that it's really easy to control him on the street with other dogs, because if you're walking him a lot, you're going to encounter a lot of dogs. So if you use your recall enough, he's just going to keep coming right back to you like that, and you never have a problem. We are here in public, and we have a little dog right here. And see how he's interested in dogs? But see how he came back to me? Good. He saw the dog. I didn't even have to say come. His ears perked up. He saw the little dog. He turned back to me. I was there. Good to reward that behavior. That's a new behavior. To notice something is an involuntary response to, oh, look at that, but then to choose to turn away and come back to me, that's a new behavior that you want to feed. Every time that happens, you want to be watching for that. Now, if he hadn't turned away in another second or two, I would have called him to come to me, because you don't want to wait for him to get a little excited. Who knows what dog might trigger him. It might be good with that little dog and a couple other dogs we've seen during this video, but who knows what might trigger him. So don't wait for him too long to stare and then maybe pull, because staring plus leash tension creates overstimulation and can lead to aggression. So you don't want to even wait for that to happen. If he doesn't come back to you like that, another second or so, it's going to be, let me toss a piece of food over there. It's going to be, come. Call him away from that distraction, whatever it is, especially a dog. Sit. I'm going to practice Max's sit stay here in public, in another place. We go to multiple different spots to make sure that he can handle just about any public place. And of course, it only matters how he does this in the presence of distractions. And in these cases, good, you can give him a treat if he does something that's really exceptional, like stay seated when people walk past or when carts are pushed by or something like that. It's kind of slow here today, so we're going to probably pick a couple of other spots, but this would just be a little warm-up sit stay for him. And of course, he'll get better and better the more different places that you practice this at. Good. Always make sure that you reward him exactly like that. So he comes back next to you, or excuse me, you go back next to him. Eye contact, good, straight down. Only do it that way. That was good, and he stayed there. Don't do this where you go down to feed him and he looks at the floor or something like that. No, and I actually triggered him to pop up. But just do it exactly the way I did it, because it's eye contact, straight down, good. He's actually looking at me in the eyes as I reward him. And here we have a dog coming in, so go to your right and show the dog. And then Max hasn't even seen the dog. Come. See how that works? And if we can't go anywhere or get away, I'm just grabbing an extra handful of treats and he munches out while that distraction passes by. Hi. Hi there.
That's a great idea. That'll help me with my dog.
Well, it's all on YouTube. Come. Can we do a greeting routine with you? Send him over to you. Ready? Sit. We have somebody that really wants to meet Max. Somebody he doesn't know out in public. So we're going to do the greeting routine. We're going to wait till these people pass by. And then we're going to send him over to say hello and give it to him when he comes to you, okay? Just give it to him, all right? And the other hand can pet, no, the other hand can pet him while you're giving the treat with the other hand. So two-handed petting, that's what we call it. Go say hi. He gets all the treats. Give him all the treats. No, give him all the treats. There you go. Pet him and pet him. There you go. And come. So he, I noticed, thank you. Sit. I noticed that when I first started bringing him here, he was super excited, and he would, when people walked past, a couple of times he wanted to grab at their sweaters or something like that. And so I knew I had to practice a lot here because he doesn't want to hurt somebody, but he gets really excited sometimes. And so we practiced a lot of sit stays and down stays here, as well as other busy places, as you'll see on the video. And he doesn't do that anymore. And I also tried to do a greeting routine with somebody every time I came out, and I did it exactly like that. And I just did it one time. Because in a place like this, where they're just regular people here shopping or something, you don't want to have them stand there for too long and make them, wait while you send them over multiple times. So just one time, have a good experience, call him back to come, and if you just did that once a day, he's going to keep getting better and better. And now we're practicing a downstay, because all of a sudden it got super busy here. Right in the middle of everything, carts going past. We had a dog walk right past us a second ago. And I'm going to reward him for this as well. Good. Just like we do it on the mat. He waits until we place it there, we withdraw, and he takes it. Doesn't touch your hand. He waits calmly, respectfully. Good. Takes it off the ground. So when we practice downstays in real life like this, it's just as if we're doing it on the mat, but now he does it, because we practiced on the mat so much, now he can do it without the mat. He's done really well. We're going to release him. He always waits until you come back next to him. Okay. Say, okay. He gets up, have him sit. Always release him from a calm sit stay. Go. And the whole idea of all of this is that the byproduct of how we're handling him just makes him calmer and calmer. So you want to release him out of every downstay and sit stay. Every day we do it, and just have him a little bit calmer every day, so that calmness takes over his whole life, and he's like this 24/7. Like this out in public, like this at home with the kids and whatever else is going on at your house. That's really the goal. It's about how we do it. Even if all we do is train 7 or 8 minutes a day, how we do it that makes him calm down and be like this 24/7. Okay. Come on out and stand with me. Yeah, I wanted to show you how I've been dealing with his jumping, because he's a big jumper. Why don't you stand here a little bit closer to us? And he may want to jump on this person, and he's doing the right thing by petting him, but a lot of people won't pet the dog and just stand there. And then what most dogs do is they make sure that you give them attention by jumping on them, and that's attention. So when he approaches you, always be there to pet him, because then there's no reason for him to jump. If he does jump, which he probably will at first, because he's not used to being handled by you yet, after I'm off the scene, no, that's what you do. If he jumps, nope. And then when he stops jumping, pet him. And when he starts jumping, no. And if there's no leash on him for some reason, you're working like you just came home from being somewhere for a while and he's loose, it's no. Good boy. Maybe I can get him to jump on me by getting him excited. And he also can get mouthy sometimes as well, like kind of play with your hands. But you know, he's way less likely. No, with the mouthiness, it's the same thing. But you see, as soon as you do that, he'll turn around and go away. He'll go to the other person has to do the same thing. Good boy. So if he gets excited, good boy. I can barely make him, I can't make him jump anymore. Yeah, nope. That's what you're going to do. And then he goes to the other person meets him down there, does the same thing. If he's going to a child, there you go, see how that works? And he stops. And the child can't handle it. Come! Call him away from the child to get him away from that. Get the leash, hook him up, have him sit. The way that you calm him down, the way that you get rid of that jumping, is you continue to put him into training mode. He cannot be reactive and out of control if he's working for you. So it might just be like that. Go, he's free again. And maybe your child or whatever children are around is there playing on the floor or something, and you just use them as a way to, with the leash on, come, keep calling it back to you, good, sit, or the second time that you call him over, since you did a sit stay last time, the second time is down. So you alternate sit stays and down stays, and the person that he was jumping on is right there. And that's the way that you are going to get rid of that inappropriate behavior the quickest way. Correcting, waiting for him to do something, and then correcting, saying leave it, or down, or no, or off, or squirting it with squirt bottles, or any kind of crazy air horns or anything like that is just going to cause more stress in the household, and he's going to stress out. So, okay, sit, go. Use the training to get rid of inappropriate behavior. Don't correct, because all you're doing is marking that behavior. He does it, you jump in, saying his name, touching him to pull him away, whatever you're doing. It'll never stop because you're actually perpetuating the behavior with the correction. Use the training. Come, call him away. Good boy. Sit, practice, training, getting him back. Basically, you're saying, forget about that, come do this with me. Never mind that. Don't give that bad behavior attention. Keep on drumming the good stuff in there. He has to focus and think, and you'll see the bad behavior will go away over time. Go. Okay. Sit. When we're putting Max into his crate, we always walk him up to the crate. We open the door. We have him sit. We open the door and go. Send him in. Goes in there, loves to go in his crate because every time we send him in, goes in, turns around, he gets a treat. I'm going to unhook his little equipment here. And you can see after you get used to it, you don't even have to look, you just do it by feel. And I just take everything off, the leash is attached to it. One more treat, good, as we close the door. I am using a giant size crate. It's the biggest size that they make. Would be considered a Great Dane crate, but he's a tall, lanky dog, and I think it's a good size. Gives him a little space in there. But he would also fit into an extra large, which is basically a German Shepherd size crate. So whatever you'd like to do. But here we're using the Great Dane size crate, and a plastic one, of course, not a wire cage. This is his den. We develop it as his den, which is his favorite place to be. He eats in there, gets his treats and chewies. It's all positive. When we put him in, he gets a treat and we close the door. When we go to get him out, give him a treat and he comes out. So we'll show you that in a second. But this little prong collar we're using, hang it up on the door. That way it doesn't get all tangled up in itself. The choke chain you can put on top if you want, or wherever you want to put it, in the leash the same. Like I said, it's his den, and the reason that we're not using cages is because cages aren't cozy, they're open. Yes, you could cover a cage, a metal cage, wire cage with a blanket or something, but most likely half the dogs, like Max, are gonna hook it with a nail or his teeth and pull it in and shred the blanket. So why not just use the right tool for the job, which is a real crate. It simulates a den, it's cozy, he can isolate inside there if he wants, and it's nice and cozy. That's why we use these. And I think it's easier to manage anyway in general in your household. So here, like I said, he eats in his crate. We bring the food to him, open the door, give it to him, close the door. So no training involved in the food. It's a free time thing. You're not having him sit and wait and sending him to his food. None of that. That would actually not help you at all. So always feed him in the crate. Also, control the boundary in and out, like you saw me control it when he's going in, and you're more powerful in his life, and he's more likely to listen to you in other circumstances in his life if you are controlling his access in and out of his den. Also, bones, chewies, anything he loves, only in the crate, because you want to have this way to manage him. This place where he can go if you have guests over, if the kids are having a party or anything like that, so that you have a place that he loves. He can go in the back room. This should be in a room with a door that you can close, so it's a quiet place. Get him out of the mix for a couple hours at a time. Give him something to chew on. He's happy, you're happy. As you know, he's a very excitable dog, so you don't want him just being out in the mix all the time with children and lots of activity, because it will affect the way he is. So you want to have this place that you can manage him so that he can stay calm, and your household is going to be a calmer environment because of that. If you're controlling his access in and out of the crate, he'll think of you as dominant, more dominant than if you're not, and that's why it's a whole routine of taking him in and taking him out. And while I'm taking him out, I'll just explain why the choke chain. This would be very dangerous if you're using it for training, because there's no safety and you could hurt his throat. Obviously, it closes and chokes him, and it's metal, so we'd never use this for training. But it does hang loose, and it's doubled up on the clip for the leash, because if the little prong collar comes off, which is safe, I'll show you in a second, then this takes over and you don't lose the dog out on the street. So that's the only way you should use a choke chain. These days, we know all this, and it's only for safety in case the other one comes off. So you're just doubling up on this. And if I'm going to take him out on the street, out in public, I'm going to put this on always, and I'm just going to put it over my hand. He has a little treat here to take from my hand, and as he's munching on it, I draw it over his head, so he's got that on. And you see how he waits? He won't burst out, and I'll show you why as we're doing this. So I'm attaching this prong collar, and it's attached. You attach the leash to the funny shape buckle here. If he tries to come out when the door's open, just do a very gentle little, kind of like a little token closing of the door, and say no, and he'll wait. So it is attached to that little funny looking buckle. There's also a perfectly round ring, which is a spacer, and you don't touch the spacer at all. And we're attaching it so that we can hold it like this, and the chain is not twisted, so make sure that you can probably just make sure by hanging it like that, and it will untwist itself. If it's twisted, it won't work well, and it actually could be damaging to the dog. So make sure that it's like this, and that little ring spacer is right in the middle. You don't touch it, it's just that. Hold it like this, and then he's going to wait in his crate, see, because he's used to doing it this way. We're going to reach in there and just attach it, make sure that it's the collar that goes the highest up on his neck, like right under his ears. The collar with his tags on, that stays on there 24/7, of course, that's below, and the choke chain is below as well. So I just attached the prong collar, and I'm clipping the choke chain to the leash, and we're ready to go. And I always do this exercise where I have the door open. If he doesn't come out, I reward and say good, and I'll try to stand back like this with the leash, and then he gets a big reward, good, because this is a very important boundary, and he's respecting this boundary, just like the front door, and just like the gateways, and just like the curbs. It's all about boundaries, and it's easy. Anybody could do it, can do it. You don't have to be muscle-bound, strong, or use any kind of force. Just reinforce what he already has learned with me, and this will make him think that you're the boss if you control all the boundaries like this. Or at least you'll have way more than you had before. So he's still waiting. The way that to allow him out of the crate is to say, okay, he'll come out. Always close this door, because if you don't close the door and he can just go in and out at will, you're squandering the power of the crate, which is to control his access in and out of his den. So that's how we put him in and take him out. Here, he sleeps overnight in the crate. Like I said, he eats his meals in there, and he gets rewards going in and coming out. but we do control the boundary and we do this routine. So it'd be great if you continue to do this exactly the way you see it here. And it definitely is a part of the routine in the training, and it will help other things that you're doing with him as well. Okay. Sit. You walk him up to the mat. You're always on a leash, of course. You have him sit with your right hand. You're going to pat his chest and say, make sure he doesn't mess with your hand. So it's a flat hand. Make sure that he knows you don't have anything in there. Pat his chest and say, go to your mat, walk over with him and say, down. And then I like to have him more on the center of the mat. You can lure him to be straight or anywhere you want on the mat without touching him. Just get a handful of the treats here, get down here and just kind of lure him. In this case, he was a little bit too far forward. Lure him to where you want him to be and then mark that place with giving him a treat. Good. And then we can start the exercise. So he's on the mat, somewhere in the middle like that, not hanging off the mat. And we just start making sure that he accepts the rewards. No. Good. Calmly and respectfully. That means that you'll stand back here. It's a 6-foot leash, extra couple of feet for your arm. It's like 8 feet away. Come back, swing in like this. Good. You place the little treat on the mat. You let go of it, withdraw. He waits until you withdraw. He takes it. You say good as he takes it. So you don't want to come like this or creep towards him. Just try to be relaxed in just one motion. Kind of swing in like this. Good as he takes it. So once you have that down, the reward and how you deliver the reward is really important, because he could still be in a down state, but if you're tossing the food or you're moving in a quick, jerky movement, he's not going to calm down. He's only going to be as calm as the person handling him. And that is what dog training is all about. They change because of who handles them. So if the owner doesn't do what I'm doing, he goes back to the way he was before. That's why we're making the video for you, and so you can see exactly how we're doing things. And obviously, that is why he's this way now, because every day he's been handled this way. Good. So now we're practicing just a basic downstay, where he accepts us walking around him both ways. And whatever you're going to do at your house, and different people do different things, you always kind of start off with this basic stuff, because whatever he does on the mat, he'll be able to do out in public. And as you'll see, or you've probably already seen, this will be after that, the clips of him out in public. Doing this every day for just 3 to 5 minutes a day has enabled him to handle all kinds of big distractions out in public. But you always do this first in your yard, in your house. Make sure that you have that handled, and then gradually put him in the presence of higher and higher levels of distractions. Just be very methodical. Don't go from next to nothing to something really hard. Just work your way up gradually. Then you'll see where there's a sticking point. You can back off for a while and go back to that point, work through it, and then on and on. So it's just very methodical, very logical way. Good that you do this. And I'm going to try a couple things I actually haven't done that much of. So dropping the leash, I can do that because this is a fenced yard. Walking way over here, opening the gate. This is a gate that he runs with us when we leave, and then when we come in, he runs up to greet us. So this could be really hard for him to handle, to stay there. Whenever you're working on a new challenge with him, it's okay to remind him what you want him to keep doing. So I'm going to say down, and I'm just coming through the gate like this and closing it, and then coming back. We'll start like that, and he gets a double reward. If he does something exceptional, give him a bigger reward at first, especially the first time he does it. Good, and he'll never forget what you gave him this extra big reward for. Let's try a little bit more than that. So he was okay with that little challenge. Let's try something else. Down. So he was cool with that gate. Now I'll try disappearing onto the street and see what happens. Going out here, closing the gate behind me, going back, So he got up, okay? So when he makes a mistake, when you're practicing something with him, you say no. Take the leash, step into him, and just reset him. Put him back, don't say a word. If I wasn't talking to you, I just would have said one thing, no. Calmly but firmly, put him back and try it again. This is the way that you get through different challenges with him. So I'm going to do it again, down. And obviously I didn't give him a reward either because he made a mistake. So we'll go out here again, down. This is where I should say it from here before I go out. Nope. So he's here at the gate jumping. This is a difficult challenge for him. So you'll see how we work through these challenges. So I said no, put him back again. That was 2 mistakes. Let's try it again. Down. Going outside of this gate, coming back. That was 2 mistakes. I reset him twice. On the 3rd try, big success, big handful of rewards. Good. So he did it the right way. Big payoff. He won't forget. So that's the way that you get through a problem that you're practicing with him. And obviously being able to handle, always working on something new that you find around the house that triggers him to break out of a downstay. Because every time that you're doing that and getting through it, his downstay is a little bit stronger because you're always adding to all these different things that now he can handle, and it just helps you, of course, with everyday life. Let's do it one more time. Down. So 2 times in a row, he's got it. So you know he's got this thing now, and you'll still practice it, but you'll move on to practicing something else. Good. Practicing, looking for the next new challenge. And if you're always doing this, pushing the envelope a little bit, it doesn't have to be anything really difficult, but just find something that he made a mistake at several times in a row or a couple times in a row, and you know that you need to work on that. Get him to have a couple successes in a row, and then you add that to your repertoire of things that you practice with him around the house. And over time you can drop things like if like walking around him, you know, we do that every day. You should still always do that little warm-up part that I did of this exercise, but maybe you don't even do that after a while because it's not a big deal and you're going through that gate. So he's getting excited because I'm talking and waving my arms, which I don't usually do when I do the training. So I'm going to say no. And just calmly but firmly reset him, because the rule is that I don't care what happens or what I do or what somebody else does, you don't leave a downstay until you're released. So we're gonna be kind to him and release him now because he's done some really good work here. We'll finish up on a high note. Always finish up on a success. Good. We'll reward. So that's what he remembers. He's always going to remember how it ended. Okay. That's how you lead him off the mat. Sit. So you say okay. He pops up. You lead him off the mat. You have him sit, and then you pat his chest and say go, and he's free. Always pick up this mat, so because he's going to want to go hang out on it. It's not a doggy bed. It is only for that one purpose. And so you put it down, go get him. He's on a leash. He needs your permission to go on. He needs your permission to come off, and then you pick it up because he can never walk on it, stand on it, any of that kind of stuff. It's only for this purpose, and that's why he'll continue, if you keep practicing this way, he'll continue to have a stronger downstay. Okay.